Hey guys, welcome to TST Garage. I'm Bart. In this episode, I have a 2024 and up Yamaha MT-09 in the shop with me. In this episode, we will be installing the multi-point frame sliders on this bike. This is a set made by us, TST Industries. These are the components that arrive to you with the kit. We do have an optional color cap that will cap the slider portion, so that choice will be yours during shopping. For this installation, we will be using the gray. I kind of like the gray to go along with some of the more gray-like components on this bike, so that's what we'll be using. We do offer a PDF on the product page for this product where you could print this out, and this will help you reference all of the components I have here. I know it looks like a big mess, but it really is pretty simple. I've separated them into sides here. I'll just go over some of the differences in hardware that we have. When you look at these main brackets, if it looks like you can't attach it, it means it's for the other side. Now, how do we identify this? This is positioned for me, this being the front of the bike. So this is the right. The right side does have a hole right here in between these two frame mounting holes for clearance for this bolt, whereas the left one does not. That's how you identify that. The pucks are exactly the same. The caps for the pucks will be the same side to side. Now, the left side of the bike does take one of these chest piece looking spacers, and because it has a long spacer, it takes the long bolt. You'll see the difference in the main bolts. The long one goes on the left, short one goes on the right. So we've discussed the large spacer. The other side gets the two smaller spacers. Now, we have these button head Allen screws along with the nuts, 2 and 2 for each side. Those are exactly the same. And we have 4 of these washers, 2 per side. All right, so we have these screws here. 3 of them are exactly the same. One is longer. The longer one and one of the short ones go with these spacers. They will connect into this side here, and the 2 exact same lengths will be on the left side. So now that we've prepped the separate side kits, we'll roll the table away and we'll start the installation on the right side of the bike. So like I mentioned, we're gonna begin the installation on the right side here. I'm gonna focus on these 2 bolts first. I'm gonna take a 6mm Allen hex key and crack these guys loose. Now, it's very important to do only one side at a time, because if you unbolt these 2 and this bolt on both sides, it's very likely that the motor will droop in the frame, and then you will have an alignment issue where you have to restore the alignment before putting your components back in. So let's be careful and just do one side at a time. All right, now we're gonna move on to this bolt here. This one takes an 8mm Allen or hex key. There is a collet tightening system underneath it. So when we withdraw this fastener here along with the washer, please observe the inner piece here. If you're just removing it and this stays in place and just moving about the shop, please make sure that this is still in place before you go to tighten your new components on, because if this does come out, now you don't actually have a way of tightening this properly. So ensure that this conical collet spacer is in there. Now we'll go ahead and superimpose our bracket on here. We need the larger spacer for this side to go in here. I'm going to engage this thread by hand. Leave myself a little adjustability here. On the top side here, we have the forward connection that does not use a spacer in between our new bracket and the motor bracket. So we will grab the shorter screw for this side, along with one of the washers, and get that thread engaged by hand lightly, making sure that we preserve a lot of adjustability here because we have to get the smaller spacer for this side, along with the screw and the washer lined up and sandwiched properly. There we go. I'm going to engage that guy. Switch back to my 6mm Allen. I'm going to want to go almost to bottom out, but still preserving just a tiny bit of adjustability. That goes for both of these connections. I'm going to switch to my torque wrench with the 8mm for this bolt. I like to go by the factory specs for this bike. So this bolted connection will be tightened at 44 foot-pounds of torque, and that's equivalent to 60 Newton meters. Let's adjust the torque wrench appropriately. Let's go ahead and tighten this guy down all the way to the specified torque. Now I'm going to switch over to my 6 and tighten these guys down to 18 foot-pounds, which is equivalent to 25 Newton meters. All right, we have now tightened down the new puck carrier bracket, and now we'll need to attach the puck to the bracket itself. There is a counter bore in the puck that accepts the bolt head. Then we'll use these button head screws, get those through, and cap these connections on the other side using the Nylock locking nuts. Make sure that the locking element made of nylon goes inboard. And I engage these by hand. Use a 5mm Allen on the head of the screw, and a 13mm open-ended or box wrench on the inside on that nut. I like to preserve just a little bit of adjustability before I go full bottom, just to make sure I have nice alignment on the top edge. We do keep these screw holes a little bit loose so this puck can move and you can knock it out of alignment. Here what I like to do is press it up as far as it'll go so that this surface goes up above the top edge of that bracket there. And now I'm just going to take this to full tightness. And finally, I'll slide the cap in. Now you have a larger side and a smaller side. The smaller side goes forward, obviously. The way I like to get these in is sort of like a slide system. I go in from the rear to the front, engage my grippy teeth into this slot here, and then just work it up until it binds here. And then I take my forefinger and my thumb and I kind of apply pressure against the top and bottom as I press in, and it snaps on and covers the entire whole inside and the screws, and it looks really nice. Now if you ever need to back out and go in the reverse order of disassembly, we have provided a little slot here. You can use an appropriate size flathead screwdriver to go in and pry it up, and that just comes out. There is an alternative method, but it requires a much smaller screwdriver. We can go in from the front and pry it up. So you guys can use either one of these. I do recommend the rear here. It makes it nice and simple. This side's done. We're gonna hop on over to the left side of the bike and continue there. Working on the left side now, we're going to use the same tools as we used on the right side of the bike to pull out these 3 locations. This left side bolted connection does not have one of those collet type fasteners in there, just the bolt and the washer, which have to come off. And now we'll replace this whole assembly here with the longer, nice long spacer, long bolt. Get that lined up in there, engage those threads. This side assembly does not use spacers between the bracket and the frame bracket. I'm just gonna engage the screws coupled with washers in here. Engage the threads by hand, making sure that they actually do go in nice and smooth. If they do not, stop, back up, and analyze the problem. All right, now with hand engagement done on all the 3 fasteners, we're gonna get all these fasteners down close to bottom out. And now we're gonna switch to our torque wrench. I'm gonna start in the front. Same torque as the main bolt on the other side, 44 foot-pounds. And the rears are gonna get 18 foot-pounds. And now we proceed to the puck placement. Same procedure as before on the other side. And that's it, job's done. All right guys, we are done here. As you can see, it took me about 15 minutes to make this installation from start to finish using only basic tools plus a torque wrench. If you like what you see here, check out tstindustries.com. We have these parts ready to go, ready to ship to you. We also have other crash protection components for this bike that are available separately or in a pack called Total Crash Protection. We also have other parts for this bike and other bikes you may have in your stable, so check us out. And like to converse with you, throw me a comment, give me a like and subscribe, keep the channel alive, and ride safe. See you later. Peace.